Hello vlog, this is my first video for my YouTube channel, and today what I am doing is I am making this roasted corn salsa. I am doing it for a party tonight, and this is kind of my go-to take to events type item because it is very easy to do, very fast, and it doesn't take a whole lot of cooking. So, in just a moment, I'll show you how I make this. So I've got a party that I'm going to tonight, and I'm going to be doing a roasted corn salsa. This is kind of my go-to party food. It's fairly easy and quick. It doesn't really require much actual cooking or heating, and it's just a little bit nicer than a standard salsa. What I'm using, I have a couple of bags of frozen corn. I've got some Roma tomatoes, some red onion, and some Anaheim peppers. If you want something that has a little bit more kick to it, you can use jalapenos. And then also I add a little bit of lime juice and some salt and some pepper. So that is what the plan is for the next half hour or so. All right, preheating the oven to 350. I've taken my frozen corn and spread it out on the sheet pan. I have parchment paper down underneath it that I've sprayed some anti-stick spray on. And as soon as my oven finishes preheating, I'm going to throw that in. Usually takes about 20 minutes. You want to leave it in there until the top of the corn just starts getting brown and brings out a little bit more of a nutty flavor to it. And while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to start my chopping. Now you could use yellow onions here. I'm using red onions. I prefer the taste a little bit more when they're raw. They aren't quite as powerful as the yellow onions are when they're raw. And there is my oven. Okay, now I prefer romaines in most cases when I'm cooking. They have less liquid in them, especially in the case of salsa. it means that your salsa is not going to be quite so wet, and you're not going to get that buildup of liquid down in the bottom of your bowl so much. In fact, I prefer romaines over other tomatoes for just about everything for that reason. Plus, I think the flavor is a little bit more condensed. Cutting tomatoes is a good way to find out how sharp your knife is. If your knife isn't sharp enough, it's just going to mash them rather than cleanly slice through them. Okay, like I said, I'm using an Anaheim for this. If you want a little bit more of a kick to it, you can certainly use other stronger peppers, like jalapenos, or even just leave the seeds and the ribs in, because that's where most of the heat comes from anyway. But I'm not going to do that because a lot of people around here aren't too big on heat. Also, you can add a little bit of cilantro. A lot of people do. I'm not especially big fan of cilantro. I think it's alright if used in moderation. But cilantro seems to be a very polarizing subject that people either love it or hate it. And so I just avoid it altogether. Sometimes I'll add garlic as well. I don't have any fresh garlic. I'll throw in a little bit of garlic powder. And let's see how our corn is doing. I can smell it. Oh, look at that fog up. I can smell it is starting to roast. Figure another 15 minutes or so, it ought to be perfect. Add some lemon juice. Sorry, lime juice is what this is. And I am still waiting on the corn. Okay, gonna check on the corn. It's coming along pretty good. I think I'm gonna switch to broil to see if I can brown these just a little bit. And they should be ready in not too long from now, because I'm running out of time. Okay, that corn is looking about perfect. See that? Nicely browned on the top, and not too burnt. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dump it out of that into this empty bowl, and refrigerate it for a little bit and get it cooled down so that I can add it to the rest of my salsa. Alright, my corn is chilled down some. I'm going to dump it in here. Pretty good. A little more lime juice. Some salt. Much better. And I'm going to add a little bit of garlic powder. And there you have it. There's my roasted corn salsa. Normally, I try to do this, make this the day before, so that all the flavors and all the ingredients have time to meld. And I think it's a lot better on the second day. Unfortunately, I didn't have a whole lot of time to do this yesterday. That is my roasted corn salsa. Alright, I've got my chips, I've got my salsa, I am headed out the door.